Samantha had always lived alone in her small one-bedroom apartment on the outskirts of town. The rent was cheap, and the neighborhood was quiet. The only thing that ever unsettled her was the narrow attic storage space built into the wall next to her bed. It was an old-style compartment with a wooden panel that slid in and out rather than a traditional door. It never seemed quite right. Sometimes it would be slightly ajar when she knew she had shut it tightly. But she told herself it was just the apartment settling, the wood shifting. One night after a long shift at work, Samantha collapsed into bed, exhausted. Sometime past midnight, a faint sound stirred her awake, a soft scraping. She groggily turned over and saw that the storage panel was open about an inch. A cold unease settled over her. Had she left it like that? She couldn't remember. Shaking it off, she got up and shoved the panel back into place. Maybe she had left it loose. Maybe the apartment was just drafty, but she double-checked. There was no draft. The next night, she made sure to press the panel in tightly before going to bed. But once again, in the middle of the night, she woke up. This time, the panel was wide open. Her stomach dropped. She sat up slowly, staring at the gaping darkness inside. The tiny space wasn't deep, maybe 3 feet, but it was enough for storage. She usually kept old clothes and books in there, nothing that could have moved on its own. Then she heard it, the softest rustle, like fabric shifting. Her breath caught in her throat. She reached for her phone and turned on the flashlight, aiming it at the storage space. The light caught something in the farthest corner, barely visible. A pair of eyes staring back at her. Samantha's scream caught in her throat as she scrambled out of bed, knocking over the lamp on her nightstand. She fumbled for the door handle, yanking it open, and sprinted out of her apartment, barefoot, not caring about the cold night air. She called the police from the parking lot. When they arrived and searched her apartment, they found nothing. The storage panel was closed. No signs of forced entry, no footprints, just her overturned lamp and disheveled bedding. "Are you sure you weren't dreaming?" the officer asked gently, though his partner took down notes. Samantha knew what she had seen, but maybe she had imagined it. Stress, exhaustion, and overactive imagination. That night she couldn't sleep. She sat in her living room, every light in the apartment on, jumping at every sound. Eventually, exhaustion won, and she dozed off. A creaking sound woke her just before dawn. Her heart pounded as she looked toward her bedroom. The storage panel was open again. Her breath hitched. Then, something else. The unmistakable sound of slow, deliberate breathing. Not her own. And then, a voice right behind her ear. "You really should have stayed asleep."